Supreme Observer Do stood in the central chamber of the lead Viridian vessel. His tall, slender body was covered in smooth blue-green skin that seemed to shimmer under the soft purple light. 4 long fingers on each hand moved gracefully over the floating control panels. The chamber was perfectly round, with 3 Viridians working at equal distances from each other. Their ships, like their society, valued balance and efficiency above all else. "Target located," announced Junior Observer Jun, her voice melodic and calm. One vessel matching the description of human military craft. Do's large oval eyes blinked slowly. The Viridian Collective had been watching the humans from afar for several years. These strange beings had spread quickly from their home planet, setting up colonies and outposts with remarkable speed. Now they had reached the edge of Viridian space. It was time to learn more about them. "Approach and surround," Do ordered. "Prepare deep scan protocols." The 3 Viridian ships moved in perfect harmony, their black arrow-shaped forms gliding through space toward the human vessel. They took up positions around it, forming a triangle that would allow their scanners to work together. "The human ship has activated defensive shields," reported the 3rd Viridian. "Technical Observer Sol. No weapons activity detected." Do nodded. "This was expected. Begin the scan." "Full spectrum analysis." Jun pressed a sequence of glowing symbols. The scan beam activated, invisible to the eye but powerful enough to penetrate even the densest materials. "Scan initiated," Jun confirmed. "Data flowing." The central chamber transformed as holographic displays appeared all around them. 3-dimensional images of the human ship formed in the air, showing first its outer hull, then peeling away layers to reveal its internal structure. Do moved closer to the display, his eyes widening. "This design is unusual." "Inefficient," Sol commented, studying the data. "They have multiple systems that serve the same function. Backup generators, secondary control systems, manual overrides. In Viridian engineering, such redundancy was seen as wasteful. Their own vessels were marvels of efficiency, with each component serving exactly one purpose, perfectly designed and virtually failure-proof." "Continue the scan," Do ordered. "Focus on their power systems first." The holographic display zoomed in on the human ship's engine room. The Viridians watched in silence as the data revealed a fusion reactor at the core, surrounded by cooling systems, power distribution networks, and safety mechanisms. "They use fusion technology," Sol noted. "But their containment methods are excessive." Jun tilted her head. "They've built their reactor to withstand severe damage. Look at these reinforced walls. These emergency shutdown systems. It's as if they expect their own technology to fail," Sol said with confusion in his voice. Do moved his long fingers through the hologram, turning it to examine different angles. "Not just fail," he said quietly. "They've built this ship to survive being attacked." The 3 Viridians exchanged troubled looks. In their peaceful society, the concept of building warships was foreign. Their vessels were designed for exploration and scientific research. While they had defensive capabilities, the idea of creating a ship specifically for combat was disturbing. "Move the scan to their weapon systems," Do instructed. The hologram shifted, now showing various sections of the human ship where weapons were mounted. Missile bays lined the sides. Laser arrays were positioned at strategic points along the hull. Defense turrets could extend from hidden compartments. "Their offensive capabilities are substantial," Sol reported, his voice betraying his unease. Do studied the weapons with growing concern. "These yields are far beyond what would be needed for self-defense." Just then, the human ship's defense systems came online, not firing but clearly ready to do so. "They know we're scanning them," Jun said. "They're showing us their teeth." Do considered ordering a retreat, but his scientific curiosity won out. "Continue the scan. Let's see how they organize themselves. Focus on crew quarters and common areas." The hologram changed again, now showing the interior living spaces of the human vessel. The Viridians watched as humans moved about their daily routines. Some were eating in a large common room. Others were in smaller private quarters. A group was gathered in what appeared to be a training facility, engaging in physical combat with each other. "They fight even when not in danger," Jun observed with fascination. "Look at this training area. They practice hurting each other." Do nodded slowly. "It appears to be a central part of their culture. Note how these training sessions are scheduled regularly for all crew members." The scan continued, revealing more areas of the ship. a medical bay where injured humans could be treated, a large room filled with plants and trees creating a small piece of their homeworld, and a wall covered in small metal plates with names engraved on them. "What is this wall?" Jun asked, zooming in on the memorial. "Some kind of record," Do suggested. "Names of humans, dates." "I believe these are their dead," Sol said quietly. "Look at how other humans pause before this wall. They touch the names. Some leave small objects." Do felt a chill run through his body. They carry their dead with them among the stars. The scan shifted again, this time accessing the ship's database. Information began to flow into the Viridian vessel's systems: human history, culture, scientific knowledge. The three observers watched in stunned silence as Earth's violent past unfolded before them. Wars that spanned continents, weapons that could destroy cities, conflicts that lasted for years, decades, even centuries. "So much fighting," Jun whispered. "How did they not destroy themselves?" Do had no answer. The history continued to play out, humans advancing technologically, often driven by their wars, yet somehow surviving each new, more terrible weapon they created. "Move to biological readings," Do ordered, hoping to understand how such a species functioned. The scan focused on the humans themselves, recording heart rates, brain activity, hormone levels. The data showed spikes and fluctuations that made no sense to the Viridians, whose own biology was carefully regulated and balanced. "Their internal chemistry is chaotic," Sol reported. "Stress hormones rise and fall without clear pattern. Heart rates vary widely even when at rest. Focus on their leader," Do instructed. The scan zoomed in on the bridge, where Captain Tay stood calmly despite the clear signs of biological stress the scan detected within him. "Remarkable," Do murmured. "His body shows all signs of what we would consider extreme stress. Yet his behavior is controlled, his commands clear." "They function in crisis," Jun realized. "Perhaps even thrive in it." The scan continued, revealing more puzzling aspects of human behavior. Their entertainment included simulations of danger and conflict. Their exercise routines deliberately stressed their bodies. Even their relaxation activities often involved competition. "Supreme Observer," Sewell's voice had grown urgent. "The scan has detected something unusual near the core of the vessel." The hologram shifted to show a heavily sealed section of the ship. The scan was having difficulty penetrating the multiple layers of shielding. "Increase scan power," Do ordered. The Viridian ships hummed as they directed more energy into the scanning beam. Slowly, the sealed section came into view. What they saw made even the normally composed Viridians gasp. "This device," Sewell said, his voice barely above a whisper, "it appears to manipulate the fabric of space itself." Do studied the weapon with growing horror. The humans had taken the same technology that allowed faster-than-light travel and weaponized it. If detonated, it would create a tear in reality that could consume everything for light years around. "Why would they build such a thing?" Jun asked, her voice trembling. "It could destroy them along with their enemies." Do's mind raced as he searched for understanding. Then he saw it, in the human historical database, a concept called mutually assured destruction. "They build weapons too terrible to use," he said slowly, "to ensure they never have to use them." The three Viridians stood in silence, trying to comprehend a mind so different from their own. A species that prepared for the worst at all times. That built ships expecting them to be damaged. That trained for pain and loss as a matter of routine. "We have seen enough," Do finally decided. "And the scan." As the scanning beam powered down, the human ship transmitted a message to them. A data package containing Earth's history, cultural achievements, scientific knowledge, and an offer of peaceful diplomatic relations. They knew we were studying them, Jun realized, and they let us see their weapons, their defenses. "A warning," Do said, packaged with an open hand. The implications were clear. The humans were showing they could fight if necessary but preferred peace. "Respond to their message," Do instructed. "Request formal diplomatic contact through proper channels. We are departing their space immediately." As the Viridian ships turned and moved away from the human vessel, Do stared at the holographic display still showing the strange, redundant, combat-ready design of the Thunderstrike. "What will you report to the High Council?" Jun asked. Do considered his words carefully. "I will tell them we have encountered a species unlike any we have known before. A species that expects disaster yet strives for better, that builds for war yet offers peace." He paused. and I will strongly recommend we accept their offer of friendship. Because they are so dangerous? Sewell asked. Captain Tay stood tall on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, his dark eyes fixed on the main screen as stars streaked past. The human warship moved through space on a regular patrol mission. This area was new territory for humans. They had only recently set up borders with the Viridian Collective, a group of aliens they knew little about. All systems normal. Captain, said Lieutenant Kim. Her fingers moved quickly across her control panel. The soft blue light from the screens lit up her face in the dim bridge. Tay nodded. He had been captain of the Thunderstrike for 5 years now. The ship was like a second home to him. Its crew of 200 men and women were the best the United Earth Space Force had to offer. How long until we reach the next checkpoint? Tay asked. 3 hours, sir, Kim replied. Tay was about to sit down when the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Unknown ships detected, called out Officer Park from his station. 3 vessels approaching fast from Sector 7. Tay's body tensed, but his face remained calm. This was why they trained so hard. On screen, he ordered. The main screen changed to show 3 black arrow-shaped ships. They moved in perfect sync as if they were parts of one bigger ship. Try to talk to them, Tay said. Standard greeting on all channels. Kim pressed buttons on her panel. No answer, sir. They're not talking back, Tay thought quickly. This area was still new to humans. A wrong move could start a war. Yellow alert, he decided. Shields up, but keep weapons cold. We're not here to fight. The crew moved fast, following his orders. The Thunderstrike's shields hummed to life, creating an invisible bubble around the ship. The 3 black ships moved closer. They spread out, surrounding the human warship. Their movements were too perfect, too coordinated. Sir, they're getting very close, Park said, worry clear in his voice. Hold position, Tay ordered. Let's see what they want. Without warning, the Thunderstrike shook. It felt like the whole ship was vibrating. What's happening? Tay demanded, gripping his chair to stay upright. We're being scanned, sir, Kim said, eyes wide. But this isn't normal. It's not like any scan I've seen before. It's going through everything, our hull, our systems, even our bodies. Tay frowned. This was a violation. Under the Arcturus Convention, this kind of deep scan without permission was seen as an aggressive act. Record everything, he ordered, and prepare a message package. If they want to know us, let's show them. Officer Hahn, the communications expert, looked up. What should I include in the package, sir? Basic Earth history, our major cultural achievements, our scientific progress, and an offer of peaceful talks, Tay said. But don't send it yet. Let's see what they do next. The strange vibration continued for several minutes. Tay could feel it in his bones, like standing too close to a massive speaker. Sir, said Kim suddenly, they're focusing their scan on specific areas of the ship now. Which areas? Tay asked. First the engine room, then the weapon systems, and now the crew quarters and mess hall. Kim looked confused. They seem to be studying how we live. Tay nodded slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. They're trying to understand us. Not just our technology, but who we are. The bridge was quiet except for the low hum of the scan and the beeping of the ship's systems. Should we try to block the scan, sir? Asked Park. Tay thought for a moment. No, let them look. A thin smile appeared on his face. In fact, let's help them. Open all non-critical systems to their scan. Show them our training facilities. Show them our medical bay. Show them our memorial wall. The crew exchanged looks of surprise but followed orders. And bring our defense grid to standby mode, Tay added. Don't activate weapons, just make sure they can see we have them. Kim worked at her station. Defense grid on standby, sir. They'll definitely see it in their scan. The vibration suddenly increased. The lights on the bridge flickered. They've noticed our weapons, Kim reported. They're scanning our missile bays and laser arrays more intensely now. Tay nodded. Good. Now they know we can defend ourselves if needed. He turned to Han. Prepare to send our message package, but wait for my order. The 3 alien ships maintained their position around the Thunderstrike. The scan continued, moving through different sections of the ship. Sir, Kim said with surprise in her voice, they're scanning our historical database now. Tay raised an eyebrow. Interesting. They want to know where we came from, what shaped us. The human historical database was vast. It contained the full record of Earth's past. Its wars and peace treaties, its disasters and triumphs, its slow climb from cave dwellers to space travelers. They're spending a lot of time on our military history, Kim noted. Watching the data flow. Of course they are, Tay said softly. Our history is filled with conflict. It's shaped who we are, how we build our ships, how we train our people. The scan suddenly shifted again. Now they're focusing on the crew's vital signs, Kim reported. Heart rates, brain activity, hormone levels. Tay stood and walked to the front of the bridge, looking at the alien ships on the screen. They're trying to understand what makes us tick. How we react to stress, how we make decisions. The scan had been going on for nearly an hour now. Some crew members were getting nervous, shifting in their seats. Steady, Tay said to everyone. This is first contact. Let them learn. Just then the vibration changed tone. It became higher-pitched, almost uncomfortable. They've found the sealed section, Kim said with alarm. Tay's expression grew serious. The sealed section near the ship's core contained the Thunderstrike's most powerful weapon, a device that could tear a hole in space itself. Let them see it, Tay said quietly, but engage additional security protocols. Make it clear that weapon is our absolute last resort. Minutes passed in tense silence. The scan probed the sealed section thoroughly before moving on. They're pulling back, Kim finally announced.
Scan intensity is decreasing, Tay nodded.
They've seen enough. He turned to Han. Send the message package now. Han pressed a series of buttons. Package sent, sir. The bridge crew waited. The 3 black ships remained in position, but the invasive scan had stopped completely. After what seemed like an eternity, Kim's console beeped. Sir, they're responding. Text only, translated through our systems. On screen, Tay ordered. Words appeared on the main screen. Message received. Request formal diplomatic contact through proper channels departing your space. A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. They're moving away, sir, Park reported. Returning to their territory. Tay allowed himself a small smile. Stand down, Yellow Alert, and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made first contact with the Viridian Collective, and they're interested in talking. As the alien ships disappeared from their sensors, Tay thought about what had just happened. The aliens had come to learn about humans, and they had learned plenty. They had seen humanity's technology, their weapons, their history of conflict, and something in all that had convinced them that peace was a better option than any alternative. What do you think they were looking for, sir? Kim asked quietly. Tay looked at the stars on the main screen. They wanted to know if we were a threat, and I think they got their answer. Are we? A threat, I mean? Kim's question was simple but loaded with meaning. Tay turned to face his crew. We're explorers first, but we've learned through thousands of years of history that peace works best when you're strong enough to defend it. He paused. I think our visitors just learned that lesson too. The Thunderstrike resumed its patrol route, continuing its mission along the border. But now, instead of an unknown frontier, they were guarding the beginning of what might become a new friendship among the stars. Little did they know that aboard the retreating alien vessels, the Viridian observers were urgently reporting their findings to their leaders, findings that had left them deeply shaken and convinced that befriending humans was far wiser than challenging them. The quantum scan penetrated deeper into the human vessel, beyond its physical structure and into the lives of its crew. In the central chamber of the lead Viridian ship, Supreme Observer Do, Junior Observer Jun, and Technical Observer Sul watched with growing fascination and unease as they witnessed the human element of the warship. Focus on their daily routines, Do instructed. I want to understand how they function as a collective. The holographic display shifted, showing different sections of the human ship throughout a standard Earth day. The Viridians observed as the crew rotated through shifts, some working while others slept or engaged in what appeared to be leisure activities. Their schedule is fragmented, Jun noted with surprise. Different humans sleep at different times. There is no synchronized rest period. This was contrary to Viridian practice, where entire crews entered rest cycles simultaneously for maximum efficiency. They maintain constant readiness, Sul pointed out. See how the bridge is always fully staffed, how security teams patrol at all hours. Do nodded slowly. They operate as if under perpetual threat. Even in friendly space, they remain vigilant. The scan zoomed in on the ship's mess hall, where off-duty crew members gathered to eat. The Viridians watched as humans sat in small groups talking animatedly, sometimes laughing, occasionally arguing. Their social structure is chaotic, Jun observed. Look at how they form small temporary groups rather than functioning as a unified whole. Sewell adjusted the scan parameters. Yet they maintain a strict chain of command during operations. These rank markers, he highlighted the insignia on their uniforms, indicate a clear hierarchy. A fascinating duality, Doe mused. Rigid organization in crisis, fluid social bonds at rest. The scan moved to the ship's training facilities where several humans were engaged in physical activities. Some lifted heavy objects repeatedly, others ran on moving platforms. A group practiced combat techniques against each other. These cannot be punishment rituals, Jun said with confusion. They appear to engage in these activities voluntarily. They deliberately stress their bodies, Doe realized. Look at their biological readings. Elevated heart rates, increased hormone production, muscle tissue damage. And yet they continue, Sewell noted. Even when in physical discomfort. The holographic display showed a human female lifting a heavy bar, her face contorted with effort. The scan detected micro-tears forming in her muscle fibers, yet she completed another repetition. They strengthen themselves through controlled damage, Doe said, his voice betraying his amazement. Their bodies adapt by rebuilding stronger after stress. The observers watched as the training session ended, and the humans congratulated each other, despite their exhaustion and pain. Direct the scan to their recreation areas, Doe ordered. The display changed to show areas where humans spent their free time. Some played games that simulated conflict, moving pieces across checkered boards or manipulating digital avatars in combat scenarios. Others watched recorded entertainment on screens. Jun focused on one such entertainment program. This simulation, it depicts a disaster scenario, humans trapped in a failing structure. Why would they choose to experience simulated crisis during their rest periods? Sewell wondered aloud. Doe had no immediate answer. The concept was alien to the Viridian mind. Their own entertainment consisted of harmonious music, mathematical puzzles, and shared consciousness experiences, all designed to reinforce order and tranquility. Examine their sleep chambers, Doe instructed next. The scan revealed the private quarters where humans retired to sleep. Unlike the communal rest halls of Viridian ships, each human had a small personal space. Some had decorated these spaces with images, objects, or plants. Such inefficient use of space, Sol commented. These partitions serve no practical purpose. Privacy, Jun suggested. They value separation even within their collective. Doe watched as a human entered one such chamber, removed their uniform, and lay down on a padded platform. Unlike Viridians who entered a precisely timed shutdown cycle, the humans seemed to struggle to sleep. They shifted position several times, adjusted their covering, and eventually reached for a small device that played soft sounds. Their rest is as chaotic as their waking state, Doe observed. Even this basic biological function lacks the efficiency we would expect from a spacefaring species. The scan continued, revealing more puzzling aspects of human behavior. In one area, humans gathered to share stories of their lives before joining the ship's crew. In another, a small group performed music using physical instruments, creating sound waves that other humans appeared to enjoy. Direct the scan to their medical facility, Doe requested. The display shifted to show the ship's medical bay. Several humans in different colored uniforms moved among beds containing injured or ill crew members. Advanced diagnostic equipment lined the walls, along with storage units containing various treatments. Their medical technology is quite sophisticated, Sol noted with surprise. Jun zoomed in on one treatment in progress. Look at this procedure. They are deliberately introducing foreign microorganisms into this human's body. A controlled infection, Doe realized. They use weakened pathogens to train their immune systems. The concept struck the Viridians as both brilliant and terrifying. Their own immune systems had been genetically optimized generations ago, eliminating the need for such risky approaches. Their entire philosophy seems built around adaptation through stress, Doe said slowly. They expose themselves to controlled danger to prepare for uncontrolled danger. The scan shifted again, this time focusing on what appeared to be a ceremony taking place in a large gathering area. A human in a senior uniform was presenting a small metal object to a younger crew member, who stood at rigid attention. Some kind of status ritual, Sol suggested. Jun adjusted the audio sensors. The senior human is praising the younger one for actions during a recent crisis. Apparently, this human continued performing their duties despite suffering an injury. Doe's large eyes blinked rapidly as understanding dawned. They reward pain tolerance and functioning under duress. It's a core value in their society. The observers watched in silence as the ceremony concluded with other humans applauding the recognized individual. Direct the scan to their historical archives, Doe ordered, his scientific curiosity now fully engaged. The holographic display filled with data as the scan accessed the ship's extensive historical database. The Viridians watched in growing horror as Earth's violent past unfolded before them. Centuries of warfare, environmental disasters, plagues, and social upheavals. How did they survive this? June whispered. The history continued, showing how humans had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times, yet somehow always pulled back from the brink. They had poisoned their atmosphere, then developed technologies to clean it. They had created weapons that could level cities, then established treaties to control them. They had faced pandemics that killed millions, then created vaccines and treatments. They evolved through catastrophe, Doe said, his voice filled with awe and dread. Each disaster forced adaptation. Each war drove technological development. Each crisis culled the weak and rewarded the resilient. The implications were staggering. The Viridian Collective had achieved space travel through careful, methodical research over centuries of peace. The humans had done so in great, desperate leaps, often driven by military necessity or competition between rival factions. Search the database for their concept of heroism, Doe instructed. The display changed to show records of humans who had been celebrated throughout their history. Individuals who had faced impossible odds, people who had sacrificed themselves to save others, leaders who had stood firm during humanity's darkest hours. They worship those who endure what should not be endurable, June said, her voice trembling. Who continue when continuation seems impossible. Sewell gestured to a particular entry. This human swam through freezing water to save others from a sinking vessel, despite knowing the action would likely kill him. And this one, June pointed to another record, remained at a failing nuclear facility to prevent a larger disaster, absorbing lethal radiation in the process. Doe studied the entries carefully. They have a concept called dying well that appears frequently in their literature and historical accounts. The idea was completely foreign to Viridian thinking. In their society, death was simply the end of function, regrettable but inevitable. The manner of one's death held no special significance. Return the scan to the bridge, Doe ordered. I want to observe their commander again. The hologram shifted back to show Captain Tay standing calmly on the bridge of the Thunderstrike. The scan detected elevated stress hormones in his system, yet his external behavior showed no sign of it. Look at his biological readings compared to his actions, Doe said. Internal chaos, external control. The three observers watched as Tay issued orders, his crew responding instantly and efficiently despite their own elevated stress levels. They've institutionalized crisis response, Sewell noted. These patterns suggest extensive training for emergency scenarios. June adjusted the scan parameters. Their brains show activity in regions associated with threat assessment, even now when no immediate danger exists. They are always ready, Doe concluded. Always prepared for the worst, even in times of peace. Captain Tay stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, watching as the three alien vessels moved away. The tense atmosphere began to ease as the distance between the ships increased. They're leaving, sir, Lieutenant Kim reported, monitoring her display, accelerating to what appears to be their faster-than-light threshold. Tay nodded, allowing himself a small breath of relief.
Stand down, yellow alert.
Return to normal operations. The red warning lights dimmed and the regular bridge lighting returned. Around him the crew visibly relaxed, though they remained professionally focused on their duties. Sir, called Officer Hahn from his communication station, I've analyzed their response. It's brief but promising. They want formal diplomatic contact through proper channels. That's good news, Tay said, turning to face his intelligence officer. Officer Min, what's your assessment of what just happened here? Min, a thoughtful woman with sharp eyes and quick mind, stood from her station. They were studying us, sir. Very thoroughly. Their scan technology is far more advanced than anything we've encountered before. And what do you think they learned? Tay asked. Min considered the question carefully. They saw our weapons, our defenses, our redundant systems. They accessed our historical database. They observed our crew going about their duties. She paused. I believe they were trying to understand not just our technology, but who we are as a species. Tay nodded slowly. And based on their response, what they saw didn't frighten them away. On the contrary, sir, Min replied. I think it may have convinced them that diplomatic contact is the wiser course. Tay turned back to the main screen, where the alien vessels were now just distant points of light. Send a complete report to Earth Command. Include all scan data we recorded and the aliens' response. Tell them we've made peaceful first contact with the Viridian Collective. Yes, sir, Han acknowledged, beginning to compile the message. Tay addressed his bridge crew. Good work, everyone. We handled this encounter exactly as we should have. First contact is always a delicate situation, and you all performed admirably. The crew straightened with pride at their captain's words. Now, Tay continued, let's complete our patrol and head home. I think Earth Command will be very interested in what happened here today. As the Thunderstrike resumed its course, Tay reflected on the encounter. The aliens had come to learn about humans, and they had certainly gotten an eyeful. They had seen humanity's capacity for violence, but also their desire for peace. They had witnessed the paradox that defined his species, builders and destroyers, warriors and diplomats, terrifying and fascinating in equal measure. Sir, Kim said, interrupting his thoughts, I've been thinking about the scan. They seemed particularly interested in our weapon systems in the sealed section. Tay nodded. I noticed that too. They spent a lot of time examining our FTL weapon. Do you think that's what convinced them to pursue diplomatic relations? Kim asked. Perhaps partly, Tay replied. But I think it was more than that. I think they saw something in us they didn't expect. What's that, sir? Tay smiled slightly. Complexity. Contradiction. The fact that we can build weapons capable of tearing holes in space itself, yet choose not to use them. That we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The bridge fell quiet as the crew considered their captain's words. Aboard the lead Viridian vessel, Supreme Observer Doe was preparing his report for the High Council. The three ships had entered faster-than-light travel and would reach Viridian space in approximately 6 Earth hours. How will you explain our recommendation for diplomatic contact? Jun asked, still sorting through the vast amount of data they had collected from the human ship. Doa's large oval eyes blinked slowly. I will tell them the truth, that we encountered a species with the capacity to be either our greatest ally or our most dangerous adversary. The Council may not understand, Sewell warned. Our society has moved beyond the concepts that define human existence. Conflict, competition, crisis. The Council might see only the threat, not the potential. Then I must make them understand, Doe said firmly, because if we reject the humans' offer of friendship out of fear, we may one day face them as enemies. And that would be undesirable. Jun brought up a holographic display showing the Thunderstrike as their scan had revealed it. Its weapons, its defenses, its redundant systems all highlighted in glowing detail. Their approach to engineering is so different from ours, she noted. We design for perfect function. They design for survival under imperfect conditions. A reflection of our different evolutionary paths, Doe suggested. We developed in an environment of stability and harmony. They evolved through conflict and catastrophe. Sewell joined them, adding his own analysis. Their historical database shows 17 occasions where they nearly destroyed their own civilization, yet each time they pulled back from the brink and rebuilt. Remarkable resilience, Jun acknowledged. And a warning, Doe added. A species that has survived so much may be very difficult to defeat. The three Viridians stood in silence, contemplating the implications of what they had learned. I have completed my initial report, Doe finally said. I will transmit it to the High Council now, so they have time to consider it before our arrival. His long fingers moved gracefully over the control panel, sending the report into the Viridian communication network. It would reach the Council within minutes, traveling faster than the ships themselves could move. What happens next? Jun asked. Doe considered the question. If the Council accepts my recommendation, we will establish formal diplomatic relations with the humans. We will learn from each other. We will trade knowledge and resources. Perhaps in time we will become allies. And if they reject it? Sol Pressed Doe's color darkened slightly. a sign of concern in his species. Then we prepare for a future that may be far less certain than we had imagined. 3 days later, Captain Tay stood in the office of Admiral Song at Earth Command headquarters. The Admiral, a stern woman with gray hair and eyes that had seen decades of service, reviewed the report from the Thunderstrike's encounter with the Viridian vessels. "So they scanned your ship without permission," she summarized, "accessed our historical database, examined our weapon systems, and then requested formal diplomatic contact." "That's correct, Admiral," Tay confirmed. Admiral Song leaned back in her chair, studying him. "And you believe this to be a positive development?" "I do, ma'am. If they had hostile intentions, they could have attacked while their scan was active. Instead, they withdrew peacefully once they had completed their observations." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Our analysts have reviewed the scan data you recorded. The Viridians' technology is advanced, particularly their quantum resonance scanning capability, but their weapon systems appear to be primarily defensive in nature." "That was my assessment as well," Tay agreed. "The interesting question," Admiral Song continued, "is what they made of us, what conclusions they drew from their study of the Thunderstrike and its crew." Tay thought carefully before responding. "I believe they saw that humans are complex, Admiral, that we have the capacity for both violence and compassion, that we build ships ready for war while genuinely seeking peace. A contradiction that has defined our species throughout history," the Admiral noted. "Yes, ma'am, and I think that contradiction fascinated them. Their society appears to value harmony and efficiency above all else. Our approach, preparing for the worst while working toward the best, may be foreign to their way of thinking." Admiral Song stood and walked to the window overlooking the sprawling complex of Earth Command. In the distance, the gleaming towers of New Shanghai rose against the blue sky. "The Council has decided to accept the Viridians' request for formal diplomatic contact," she informed him. "We're preparing a delegation to meet with their representatives in neutral space. The Thunderstrike will escort our diplomatic vessel." Tay straightened. "Thank you, Admiral. We'll be ready." "Captain," Song said, turning to face him, "I want your honest assessment. Based on what you observed during the encounter, do you believe the Viridians represent a threat to Earth or our colonies?" Tay considered the question carefully. "Any advanced species could potentially be a threat, Admiral. The Viridians have technology we don't fully understand. But no, I don't believe they have hostile intentions. They seemed more curious than aggressive, perhaps even a little afraid." "Afraid? Of us?" The Admiral raised an eyebrow. "Yes, ma'am. I think they saw aspects of humanity that disturbed them. Our history of conflict, our weapons capability, our ability to function in crisis situations." Admiral Song nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes I forget how we might appear to a truly peaceful species. Our history isn't exactly gentle, no ma'am, but we've learned from it. We've grown." Tay paused. "The Viridians might have evolved beyond the conflicts that shaped us, but that means they've also missed the lessons those conflicts taught." An interesting perspective. "Captain," the Admiral returned to her desk, "I'm assigning you as military liaison to the diplomatic team. Your experience with the Viridians, limited though it may be, makes you our best qualified officer for the role." "I'm honored, Admiral. The diplomatic vessel leaves in 2 days. The Thunderstrike will rendezvous with it at Earth orbit." Admiral Song extended her hand. "Good luck, Captain Tay." "Direct the scan to their weapon systems," Supreme Observer Doe ordered. His voice was steady, but his 4-fingered hands trembled slightly. The holographic display in the central chamber of the Viridian vessel shifted. The 3 observers, Doe, Jun, and Sul, watched as their scan penetrated the armored sections of the human warship where its offensive capabilities were housed. What they found shattered their remaining composure. "These weapon yields," Sul whispered, his normally clinical tone replaced by one of disbelief. "The destructive capacity isn't excessive." The human ship bristled with weapons. Missile bays lined its hull, each containing projectiles with warheads powerful enough to level small cities. Laser arrays capable of cutting through the thickest armor were mounted at strategic points. Defensive turrets could track and destroy incoming threats with frightening precision. Why would a vessel this size carry enough firepower to destroy a small moon? Doe asked, more to himself than his colleagues. Jun studied the readings with growing alarm. "The nuclear warheads are merely their conventional arms," she noted. "Look at these readings from the sealed section near the core. Their scan revealed a heavily shielded chamber containing technology that defied Viridian understanding. The quantum signatures suggested a device capable of manipulating the very fabric of space-time. They've weaponized their faster-than-light technology, Doe realized with horror. If detonated, it would create a cascading reality fracture. The three Viridians stood in stunned silence, trying to comprehend a species that would create such a weapon. In their society, technology was developed for the collective good, to improve life, to explore, to understand the universe. The concept of building devices specifically to destroy was alien to them. Access their weapon control protocols, Doe instructed after a long pause. The scan delved deeper into the human ship's systems, revealing layers of security surrounding their weapons. Multiple authorization codes were required. Safety mechanisms prevented accidental deployment. Ethical constraints were programmed into targeting systems. They restrict their own destructive capability, Sewell observed with surprise. These safeguards are extensive. June highlighted a particular section of the data. Look at this doctrine in their military guidelines. MAD, mutually assured destruction. The concept was so foreign that the Viridians had to study it carefully to understand. The humans built weapons so terrible that using them became unthinkable, because doing so would ensure their own destruction as well. A balance of terror, Doe said slowly. They create the capacity for ultimate violence. To prevent violence, Sewell's color paled to a sickly blue. Their history shows this strategy actually worked. When multiple human nations developed these planet-killing weapons, direct warfare between them ceased. The paradox confounded the Viridian observers. Their own society had achieved peace through collective harmony, shared goals, and the systematic elimination of violent tendencies over generations of careful genetic selection. The humans had apparently achieved a kind of peace through the threat of overwhelming destruction. Continue the scan, Doe ordered. Let us examine their defensive systems next. The holographic display shifted to show the human ship's defensive capabilities. Multiple layers of shields could be activated to protect against different types of attacks. Armor plating covered vital areas. Point defense systems could intercept incoming projectiles. Look at this, Jun said, highlighting a section of the ship. These are emergency bulkheads. They can seal off sections of the ship if hull integrity is breached. And these, Sewell added, pointing to another area, are radiation shelters, places the crew can retreat to if life support fails. Doe studied the defenses with growing unease. They built this ship expecting it to be damaged, to be attacked, to suffer catastrophic failures. The ship's design reflected a mindset the Viridians could barely comprehend, one that assumed disaster as a baseline and planned accordingly. Viridian vessels were built with the assumption that systems would function perfectly. Human ships were built with the assumption that everything might fail. Their design philosophy is fascinating, Sewell admitted reluctantly. These redundant systems mean their vessel can continue functioning even after sustaining damage that would render our ships inoperable. June zoomed in on a particular section of the ship's design. They have manual overrides for virtually every system. If automation fails, they can operate critical functions by hand. Inefficient, Sewell noted, but remarkably resilient. Doe's large eyes narrowed as he considered the implications. A vessel that can absorb punishment and continue fighting, combined with weapons of unimaginable destructive power, and crewed by beings evolved to thrive in crisis, June added softly. The three Viridians exchanged troubled looks. What they had discovered about the humans was deeply unsettling. A species that had somehow survived its own violent nature and reached for the stars, carrying the lessons of countless conflicts with them. There's more, Sewell said, adjusting the scan parameters. Look at these subsystems. The display showed specialized equipment throughout the human ship, devices designed to jam communications, generate false sensor readings, and mask the vessel's energy signature. Deception technology, Jun said. They can hide their presence or appear to be somewhere they are not. Another concept foreign to our way of thinking, Doe noted. In Viridian society, transparency and truth were foundational values. The idea of deliberately deceiving others was considered aberrant behavior. The scan shifted to the ship's engineering section, where the Viridians observed human technicians monitoring the vessel's propulsion systems. Their faster-than-light drive is similar to ours in basic principles, Sewell noted, but their implementation is unusual. Unlike the elegant, efficient engines of Viridian vessels, the human FTL drive was surrounded by cooling systems, radiation shielding, and multiple backup mechanisms. It appeared overbuilt with safety margins far beyond what Viridian engineers would consider necessary. They sacrifice efficiency for reliability, Sewell concluded. Their drive operates at only 72% of theoretical maximum output, but can continue functioning under conditions that would cause our drives to shut down. Jun highlighted another aspect of the human ship's design. These maintenance access points are sized for physical entry. Their crew actually crawls inside the machinery to repair it. The concept seemed primitive to the Viridians, whose ships were maintained by automated systems and specialized robotic units. Yet effective, Doe acknowledged. If their automated repair systems fail, a human can still fix the problem manually. The more they observed, the more the Viridians realized that every aspect of the human vessel reflected a fundamental difference in philosophy. Where Viridian design sought perfect efficiency through specialization, human design sought resilience through redundancy and adaptability. Direct the scan to their bridge once more, Doe requested. I want to observe their command structure in action. The holographic display showed the Thunderstrike's bridge, where Captain Tay and his officers monitored the ongoing scan of their vessel. They know we are studying them, Jun noted with surprise, yet they allow it to continue. Doe watched as the human captain issued orders calmly, directing his crew to open certain systems to the scan while maintaining security protocols on others. A calculated display, Doe realized. They are showing us what they want us to see. Sewell's analysis confirmed this assessment. They've increased power to their defense grid, making their weapons capabilities more visible to our scan, yet they've taken no hostile action. A warning, Jun suggested, combined with a demonstration of restraint. Doe nodded slowly. They are telling us they can fight if necessary, but would prefer not to. The human approach was as sophisticated as it was alien to Viridian thinking. They did not hide their strength, nor did they use it to threaten. Instead, they presented it openly, alongside an offer of peaceful contact. They are more complex than we initially believed, Doe admitted. The scan detected a new activity on the human ship. They were preparing a data transmission directed at the Viridian vessels. They're sending us a message package, Jun reported. Receive it, but isolate it from our main systems, Doe instructed, caution still guiding his actions. The data flowed into a secured section of the Viridian computers. It contained Earth's history, cultural highlights, scientific achievements, and formal diplomatic protocols for establishing peaceful relations. A comprehensive introduction, Jun noted, scanning the contents. They want us to understand them. Or at least, Sewell added, the version of themselves they wish us to see. Doe considered this. Compare this message with what our scan has revealed about them. After a brief analysis, Jun reported, the message downplays their military history somewhat, but does not conceal it. They present themselves as explorers first, warriors second. Is that consistent with our observations? Doe asked. Sewell considered the question carefully. Their ship is built for war, yes, but its primary mission appears to be patrol and exploration. The weapons are defensive in posture. Doe made his decision. We have learned enough. End the scan and prepare to withdraw to safe distance. As the invasive quantum scan powered down, the Viridians observed the human ship's reaction.